Hi, my best friends. It's me, Adam. Today, I will recap the anime titled The Demon Sword Master of Excalibur Academy. But before that, please subscribe to help me reach 2,000 subscribers. The story begins in an era when gods, spirits, and magic rule the earth. In the Necrozoa, City of Death, the battle between the Demon King's army and the 6 heroes reaches its peak. Humanity managed to defeat the Skeleton army thanks to the help of the goddess. Because when humanity's army fell, the goddess quickly revived them. They became like immortals. In the castle, it seems that the last Demon King gets a report on the fall of the other Demon Kings. And now only himself remains. He is named Leonis Death. In the midst of a rain of attacks, Leonis was annoyed because the great sage Erikael now sided with the goddesses. Leonis was angry and wanted to burn them with the fire of darkness. But he was stopped by his henchmen, because Leonis is the last Demon King. If he loses, then the rebel goddess named Rosalia will be angry, because he had promised her. Leonis admitted his defeat this time, but he will rise and reclaim his throne after thousands of years. We see 2 girls entering a cave. They are from Unit 18 who are investigating the void trail there. Their names are Celia and Regina. There they find some statues. They wonder if a king is buried there. They go to a locked door. There is an inscription that they don't understand. Meanwhile, Regina went to investigate on the other side. When Celia touched the door, it suddenly opened. While in there, her device shut down due to overreaction. There was a stone like a large diamond. Celia thought that if there was someone inside, she intended to help. Meanwhile, Leonis meets with Rosalia to fulfill his promise to find a vessel to inherit the goddess's power. Celia tries to shoot at the stone until suddenly the stone glows and explodes. The explosion knocked Celia unconscious. When she woke up, Celia was surprised to see a boy in front of her. But strangely, the boy was also surprised to see himself. He muttered. Did his reincarnation fail so that his form became when he was the hero? Celia asked why he was trapped there. The little boy was confused. Suddenly, Celia hugged him and said he was now safe. And the boy enjoyed the watermelon so much that he fainted. Celia gave him food. They introduced themselves to each other. Celia introduced herself as Rosalia Ray Crystalia. She is a student of the Excalibur Academy, and she is 15 years old. The boy muttered that she thought of him as an ordinary child, but he was a demon king. He introduced his name as Leonis Magnus. He thought his name had already become a famous and terrifying legend. But Celia didn't know, and instead said that it was a cute name. Celia thinks he's here because he was kidnapped by the Void, but Leonis doesn't know what the Void is. Celia explains that the Void has been an enemy of humanity for 64 years. According to rumors, the creature was from Isekai, and she was there to investigate the voids that often appeared in ancient ruins. Leonis was confused, and he asked what year it was in the holy calendar. Celia didn't even know what a holy calendar was. She said it was year 64 of the human calendar. Suddenly there was the sound of Regina discovering a large void. Suddenly, Celia protected Leonis, and again Leonis enjoyed it very much. From the ruins emerged an ogre-type void. Celia tried to fight it with a gun, but it didn't hurt the void at all. Leo wanted to help, but he slipped on his own clothes. Poor Leo. Suddenly, Regina shot the void with her weapon, but the monster was still alive. Regina turned Excalibur into Dragon Blast. Leo said that the weapon's power was equivalent to 4th-level explosion magic. After defeating the void, they left there. Leo wanted to eradicate the void monsters that were there, but he didn't want to leave Celia, who was his current source of information. He decided to keep his identity as a demon king a secret. While running, a void suddenly fell from the roof. The void monster was a wyvern. Celia took out her sword. An annoyed Leo wanted to attack the monster, but Celia told him to leave. And instantly, Celia was hit by the monster's attack. At the time of her last words, Celia apologized for not being able to protect Leo and told him to go meet Regina. But Leo instead said that Celia was stupid for protecting him. Leonis remembered his past when he was still a human until he followed the rebel goddess. Leo, who was annoyed, immediately finished off all the voids there using 8th level magic power. He burned the voids there, but the bones of the monsters still remained. Leo muttered if he now only had 1/3 the power as a demon king. Leo, who felt that Celia had sacrificed her life for him, finally chose to resurrect Celia with his magic power. While in the process of resurrection, a mark appeared on Celia's leg. Leo muttered, when Celia finds out the facts, will she be angry? On the other hand, Regina was fighting void monsters. She contacted Celia. Leo heard Regina's voice from Celia's earphones, but Leo thought it was a long-distance magic communication device. He thinks that human magic is very advanced. Not long after, Celia woke up and she was greeted by Leonis. But Celia was more worried about Leonis than herself. Celia was surprised because the wound on her body had healed without any marks at all. Leonis said that he healed it using magic. Celia, who didn't know what magic was, made Leonis surprised to hear it. Celia thought that Leonis was using Excalibur. Not wanting his identity to be revealed, Leonis confirmed Celia, who thought that Leonis was using Excalibur. Since he didn't know what Excalibur was, he asked Celia. Celia explained that Excalibur is the hidden power of humans to fight voids, and most of that power is in the form of weapons. For example, Regina's Excalibur is Dragon Howl. Each Excalibur adapts to the nature of its user. But until now, Celia did not have an Excalibur. Then Regina finally managed to find the two of them. When Regina asked about the wound on Celia's body, but immediately Celia remembered, where did all the voids disappear? After that, they got out of there. Celia told Regina that Leo was the child who was kidnapped by the voids, and he was experiencing memory loss. Then Celia invited Leonis to go with her. Along the way, Regina introduced herself. She is Miss Celia's servant. But she noticed Leonis, who was nasty. They sped up and Leonis held on tightly to the Celia, and of course with a face that very Seuss. Regina teased Leonis, who was with Celia. She even wants to show a surprise so that Leonis remembers something. Wow. What is it, guys? But unfortunately, Leo refused, even though in his mind he definitely wanted to. Celia scolded Regina, who continued to tease Leonis. After that, they arrived at humanity's last stronghold against the voids, the castle of Excalibur users and swords. The place was called the 7th Assault Garden. Leonis was amazed to see the world after 1,000 years had passed. The story shifts to Celia's childhood when countless void creatures attacked humanity. Celia and Regina were in a refugee bunker at the time. Seeing Regina scared, Celia tried to calm her down. Celia's father led the fight of the humans against the voids. Not only that, Celia's mother and the knights had never lost against the voids. Celia also stated that if she obtained Excalibur, she would join her father in fighting the voids. In the end, they laughed together. However, something happened that caused the lights in the bunker to turn off, which prompted Celia to intend to leave and join her family in the fight. Of course, Regina tried to stop her. With tears in her eyes, Celia reiterated that her father, mother, and the other troops had never lost and would be fine. Shortly after that, the refugee bunker opened, indicating that the void attack had ended. Knowing that thousands of Excalibur users had fallen, it naturally saddened Celia because she had lied about the Excalibur troops, her father and mother never losing. The story returns to the present, where Leonis, Celia, and Regina are almost at the 7th Assault Garden city. After arriving there, Leonis couldn't believe that humans could create an island of this size. However, Regina corrected him, saying that this place was not an island, but a large floating city. Leonis was astonished that such a place could move. Celia reported data from a previous investigation and mentioned that she would take Leonis to the dormitory. Regina was surprised to learn that Leonis already had Excalibur. Celia informed her that Leonis had healed her wounds, and perhaps Leonis's kindness had awakened his Excalibur. They referred to Leonis as a foreign child, someone who had fled their country due to the Void attack. Assault Garden also had a mission to find and help such individuals. Celia explained that Leonis would stay at the Excalibur Academy, which was a place for training Excalibur users. She would take care of the necessary procedures, and Leonis was instructed to enter through the scanner while she waited for him at the exit. Leonis went to the toilet and found himself upset because his plan had been to raise the Demon King's army and eliminate humanity. Instead, he found human civilization to be advanced, and his body had become that of a boy. Leonis then called his two servants, named Blackass and Sherry. Sherry and Blackass were surprised to see Leonis in his boy form, as they had known him as the Demon King. Leonis explained that his reincarnation had failed, and he had returned to his human form. Blackass had only known Leonis in his demon form, having met him after his transformation into the Demon King. Sherry commented on how cute Leonis looked. Meanwhile, Leonis had a request for both Blackass and Sherry. Leonis tells them that they are currently on an artificial island, and this city is Fortress Move number 7. That means there are still 6 other fortress cities. Upon hearing this, Sherry becomes curious about whether humanity has managed to surpass the half-demon race and the elf civilization. This is why they need to investigate humanity's strength in preparation for raising the Demon King's army. Leonis asks them to investigate this city, but they are forbidden to use magic because magic is rare at this time. Meanwhile, Leonis will sneak in and gather information at the Mankind Warrior Training School. Sherry is disappointed that she won't be able to take care of her cute master. Then, they set off to carry out their master's orders. Afterward, Leonis enters the scanner door, knowing that this place is a checkpoint. After going through the scanning process, Leonis proceeds to the next stage. Suddenly, an alarm sounds, and Leonis realizes that his magic energy triggered it. He quickly conceals his magic energy, and once the situation returns to normal, Leonis resolves to be more cautious in the future. Upon successfully passing the checkpoint, Leonis receives his ID card. However, Celia takes it from him, explaining that it's necessary for Excalibur's examination preparation before entering the academy, where they need to record the characteristics of Excalibur. After the process is complete, Leonis will receive an official ID. Upon hearing this, Leonis tries to devise a plan to maintain his true identity secret. Following that, Celia takes Leonis on a tour of the academy before returning to the dormitory. Leonis is surprised to see that the residents remain peaceful despite being on the front lines. Celia explains that even though Excalibur users are sent to the front lines, the 7th Assault Garden has never been breached by the Voids. They are now almost at the Excalibur Academy, which serves as the command and military center. Leonis noticed that the place is much larger than the Demon King's fortress, the Death Hold. Celia then shows Leonis the learning rooms, auditorium, library, and laboratories. But Celia said that she had only shown half of Excalibur Academy's facilities. Celia showed the Excalibur examination room. But she suddenly fell down and felt dizzy. However, she had to train immediately so that she could get her hands on Excalibur. Leonis was surprised that Celia, who didn't have the power of Excalibur, could enter the academy. 2 girls were attracted to Leonis, who was super cute. They said, "Although cute, that boy could be a future Demon King." Hearing that, of course, Leonis was surprised, but he thought it was impossible for them to know his identity. Shortly after that, a man with some girls arrived. The man's name was Muzel Rhodes. Muzel mocked Celia, making her upset. Leonis found out that Muzel was not Celia's best friend. Celia then invited Leonis to leave, but she was stopped by Muzel. Muzel laughed because Celia not only formed an exile platoon, but also took care of a kid. Hearing that Leonis was able to use Excalibur, of course Muzel couldn't believe it. Although Muzel had mocked them, Leonis forgave him so as not to attract attention. Muzel invited Celia to join his platoon, and Celia did not have to fear being kicked out of the academy if she joined a high-level platoon. From this, Leonis learned that Celia had inherited her family's Excalibur, but she was unable to show it. Apparently, Muzel invited Celia to become Muzel's toy collection, just like the girls behind him. Celia refused, which made Muzel even more annoyed and pulled Celia's hair. Leonis, who lost his temper, then called Musil and gave him a magic look. Suddenly, this NPC guy knelt down to Leonis. Leonis threatened Musil if he dared to touch Celia's beautiful hair. Feeling scared, Musil activated the power of Excalibur. Suddenly, a girl stopped Musil because students were prohibited from using Excalibur without permission. The girl's name was Fine. Fine threatened that if Musil didn't leave, the recording would be sent to the supervisor. Irritated, Musil left with his toys. Fine realized that Leonis was the kid found in the ruins. They got acquainted. Her long name was Elphine File, who was an analyst in Celia's platoon. Fine will prepare a uniform for Leonis as she has already measured his body. Leonis was amazed to see Fine's Excalibur. Fine then informed Celia that she could not accompany her on today's mission, as she was analyzing the data from the supervisor about the unnatural magical energy in the ocean. Although she had analyzed it, Fine still didn't understand. Suddenly, Celia felt dizzy, but Celia said that she just felt tired. Leonis muttered, "Is Celia getting thirsty already?" Long story short, they arrived at Celia's dormitory called Frakaverg. The determination of the dormitory was based on the platoon's work. A platoon was a team of Excalibur users. Only high-ranking platoons were allowed to move to the new dormitory. Regina was seen sleeping after shopping. It was because Excalibur's power consumed a lot of energy. When he entered Celia's room, Leonis asked if it was okay if he entered the girls' dormitory. But Celia didn't mind because Leonis was still a kid. Celia told Leonis to take a shower first. Then, Celia asked if Leonis wanted to join her platoon after his Excalibur inspection was completed. But she canceled her question because Leonis was currently taking a shower. While using the soap to clean his hair, Celia suddenly entered the bathroom. Of course, Leonis was surprised. She then said that hair is cleaned using shampoo, not soap. Then, Celia washed Leonis' hair. Oh my gosh, this boy is so lucky. Celia said that Leonis was free to enter any platoon because the healing power of Excalibur was precious. High-ranked platoons were definitely eyeing Leonis. Compared to Celia's platoon, it wouldn't be advantageous for Leonis because Celia's Excalibur hadn't appeared yet. But if he was willing, Celia asked Leonis to be her partner. Leonis felt that Celia was upholding justice because she had told him of her weakness. Leonis wondered that Celia was still fighting even without the power of Excalibur. It was better for her to ask for protection. But Celia wanted to fight directly. Suddenly, Celia fell down and said that her body was weak. Then Leonis touched Celia and a mark appeared, and Celia's eyes turned red. Her teeth also had fangs. Celia then sucked Leonis' blood like a vampire. Then she came to her senses and was confused as to why she did it. Leonis was forced to reveal that he had actually lied. He did not heal Celia with Excalibur's power because he could not revive a dead person. And he said that Recilia Ray Crystalia had died. Then, the story flashes back to 2 years ago. Celia is training against robots in order to awaken her Excalibur. Seeing Celia, who had difficulty fighting the robot, Regina became worried. However, she remained silent because she wanted to appreciate Celia's hard work. When Celia, who had just stood back up, the useless NPC, aka Muzel, came to stop Celia's training. It turned out that Muzel had been eyeing Celia's body for a long time, but he was always rejected by Celia. Seeing Celia being bullied by a useless NPC, Regina immediately took out her Excalibur. However, Muzel suddenly became sanctimonious and said it was forbidden to take out Excalibur to others. Regina said that she was sure that after Celia's Excalibur awakened, NPCs like Muzel were just dust. But Celia didn't want to use Excalibur for something like that. Then the story returns to the present. Celia, who has just woken up, feels confused because she was in the bathroom before. Leo said that he carried her to bed without seeing her body at all by using magic. He must be lying, guys. Celia asked, "Who is Leonis?" Not wanting to be known as the Demon King, Leonis said he was an ancient wizard who had been resurrected. And when in the ruins earlier, Leonis raised Celia from the dead with magic. She tried to use the 10th level spell, Create Elder Undead, and it made Celia the strongest undead, the Vampire Queen. The proof was that she sucked Leonie's blood to recharge her magic energy. Celia said that when she was 9 years old, the town was attacked by a void, and her entire family died to protect the townspeople, and she fought the voids to revive her Excalibur. Celia asked if he could still have Excalibur even though she had died. Leonis wasn't sure, but he believed that Celia could still be much stronger. Long story short, Leonis is now wearing the Academy uniform. He is then asked by Celia to choose the food menu he wants. Celia told Leonis to choose nutritious food, but Leonis said, "Does an undead still think about nutrition?" Leonis arrogantly wanted to pay with 1 gold coin, which he thought could buy the whole restaurant. But Celia said that gold coins were useless here. Leonis, who had brought 2,000 gold coins, was shocked. Poor Leonis. Shortly after that, there was a girl who was being charged for her debt by 2 men. They didn't want her to pay next week, and they wanted to take away the clothes she was wearing. And then, she told them to come again next week. The girl was Celia's friend, named Sakuya, while the man was a casino guard thug. She lost when she played at the casino. Sakuya is the vanguard in Celia's platoon. She is also famous for having eliminated voids by herself. Her full name is Sakuya Siglinda. In the end, Leonis and Sakuya were treated to a meal by Celia. While eating, Leonis asked about the clothes worn by Sakuya, and it turns out that the clothes are traditional clothes of her hometown, a memento from her brother. Unfortunately, her entire clan had been wiped out by the void attack. That's why she wanted to eradicate them. Then Regina and Fine came to collect her debt. Oh my gosh, she really was a pro player in debt. After that, Leonis will take a test to confirm the type of his Excalibur. For the beginning, Leonis is asked to show his Excalibur. He claimed his stick was a support type. But when he was asked to face 3 Void Simulator robots, suddenly the Void Simulator metal was instantly destroyed. This made him even more suspicious by everyone there. The teacher wanted to repeat the test once again, but he was stopped by a useless NPC aka Muzel. He intends to replace the Void Simulator to test Leonis' Excalibur. Celia felt that Muzel was cheating because there were 5 of them, but Muzel said, "That's the power of my Excalibur Dominion absolute domination." Leonis felt that it was no problem and intended to defeat them all. Celia would join the fight as she was Leonis' guardian. Hearing that, of course Muzel was happy and he made a deal. If he won, then Celia should join his platoon. But if Leonis won, then Muzel was forbidden to bother Celia again. Celia was worried, but Leonis said he wouldn't give up his familiar to anyone. Once everyone was ready, the battle between Leonis and Celia against a team of useless NPCs began. It was pretty cool that even without Excalibur, Celia was able to take on 2 Muzel dolls. Seeing that, Leonis seemed to have guessed that it was the effect of the Vampire Queen's power. While Celia was holding back the 2 Muzel dolls, one of the dolls attacked Leonis, who had been standing still. Without any movement at all, Leonis was able to defeat it with a shadow move. Not only perverted, but he is also overpowered, guys. Celia knocked back the 2 Excalibur users in front of her. She also provoked Muzel, who was always hiding behind her dolls. Not long after, Regina was seen running to the Excalibur exam building because she just remembered Leonis' exam was being held. She was surprised to see Celia and Leonis fighting with Muzel's party. And amazingly, Celia managed to knock them out without Excalibur. But when she was about to attack Muzel, this NPC suddenly used his Excalibur, Force Domination, which made Celia unable to move. After stopping Celia's movement, Muzel was going to defeat Leonis first. But Leonis heard Celia, who kept saying she would protect him, and magically, Celia's hair slowly gave off a white light, which made everyone there amazed to see Celia's Excalibur in the form of a sword. Muzel was shocked that Celia could break her dominance. In the end, Muzel's Excalibur was cut by Celia. Meanwhile, the consciousness of all the girls who became her dolls had now returned. Thinking it was impossible to win from Celia, Muzel chose to give up. Regina was very happy to see Celia's Excalibur. After arriving at the dormitory, Celia thanked Leonis because thanks to him, her Excalibur could be resurrected. Celia asked, "What is the familiar that Leonis said earlier?" He replied, "It is his protector." Celia was happy and would continue to protect Leonis. Celia asked Leonis to make her stronger. Afterwards, they celebrated Leonis' joining and the resurrection of Celia's Excalibur. They were all happy that Celia's efforts had finally paid off. They debated what a suitable name for Celia's Excalibur would be, but Celia wanted to name it after she mastered her Excalibur. Elfine then asked Leonis to come to her room because she would register Leonis' biometric data. Then Sakuya asked, Leonis chose to sleep in whose room, and they all offered their own rooms. Suddenly Celia forbade them, because Celia had found Leonis, and Leonis is also more comfortable with Celia because it is easier to keep their secrets. Long story short, Leonis is in Elfine's room to be recorded by Elfine's Excalibur called Eye of the Witch. Elfine said that she used to be a vanguard attacker in her platoon, but due to an incident, 2 of her partners died due to voids. Therefore, her Excalibur lost its original power. And when she was desperate, Celia invited her to join her platoon. Elfine said, although Leo's face is adorable, but likes to glance at the big watermelon. Suddenly, Leonis was shocked, but Elfine was just joking. Then Leonis looked at the map on the monitor, but I'm sure your eyes must be on the other object, guys. Elfine intends to lend her tablet to view the map. Long story short, after Leonis looked for information about the location of the Death Hold and the location when he fought with the great sage Erikael, Leonis called Blackus to get information. Blackus said that there was a large magic crystal under the island. Humans call it a magical furnace. Hearing this, Leonis wondered if the crystal was the same as Lord Keegan Desolf's. Although it is almost the same, Blackass said the difference is that the round pillar of the magic circuit is more complicated and flows magic throughout the city. Then Blackass left and Sherry appeared. However, she brought a donut and other food. Leonis scolded him because he thought Sherry was just playing around, but it turns out that Sherry is also collecting information, namely, throughout the city no one knows about the Demon King or the war 1,000 years ago. Hearing the sound of water, Sherry asked if he made the girl familiar. Sherry said he was a dumb demon king, but Leonis said that she was a vampire queen who could be his right hand. That makes Sherry jealous and angry at Leonis, and suddenly Celia came out of the bathroom. Fortunately, Sherry had disappeared. Meanwhile, a team is investigating voids under the sea. They found something strange, and suddenly the void attacked them.
The story then rewinds to the year 432 of the Great Calendar, when Leonis was one of the 6 holy heroes of the world. He was with a mysterious man who couldn't open his eyes. The man led Leonis to see a giant orc, destroying nearby villages. Finally, the man opened his eyes, but he had a very suspicious look. When they arrived at the place, Leo wondered where the monsters were, but the man had disappeared. Feeling threatened, Leonis tried to draw his sword, but 3 wizards used barrier magic to trap Leonis. 5 other soldiers ran to restrain him. After he was caught, they pulled him and stopped him from moving, but he managed to free one of his legs. However, the men stabbed him with spears. Leo tried to fight back, but he had already lost too much blood. Then the men dropped him to the floor as his body lay lifeless. They were happy to finally have defeated Leonis, because the people preferred him to the king. When they left, Leonis heard a heavenly voice wondering why he fell for their trap, even though he had realized it. The voice asked him, "Is he not resentful for being betrayed?" Leonis was not resentful, and he did not consider them evil. Leonis didn't care about the world's right or wrong. However, the goddess wanted to start a rebellion against the world. When Leo asked why she invited him, she said that there was something that could only be seen by him. But then she revealed that she was lying. The real reason was because she had been watching him all this time and had fallen in love with him. She said that being a hero was boring and it would be better for Leonis to be hers. And Leo woke up from his dream. He walked over to Celia and told his accomplice to wake up. Celia's body automatically woke up, wondering what had gotten into her. Leo then showed the mark on his arm and said that it could activate the seal on Celia's thigh. With that, Leo could command Celia. Well, anything. Including men's favorite things, if you know what I mean. Leonis protests to Celia because she sucks his bodily fluids while Leo sleeps. Celia apologizes because she can't control her desire to suck his blood while sleeping. But Leo tells her that he doesn't mind if Celia sucks his fluids because Celia is now his accomplice. But please ask permission first, Celia. Don't just suck it. Then, suddenly, Fine called Celia and told her that there was a massive meeting where the leaders talked about the colossal events at sea last night. She said that there was a problem that the results of the investigation team did not appear in the database. But I think the only problem was her armadillo in the back. After hanging up the phone, Celia tells Leo that they won't have school today, so she wants to spend her time training with him. Leo teases Celia, who is very excited because her energy is full after sucking Leonis's bodily fluids. At the same time, the generals on the island are still looking for the missing divers, but when they retrieve the footage from the night before, they realize that the void caused their disappearance. The third assault garden attack 6 years ago will not be forgotten. One of the generals said that the citizens had gotten used to training, but knowing that preparing to attack would cause panic. Just then the phone started ringing, and after one of the commanders hung up, he revealed that there would be a re-investigation. At the same time, Celia is practicing against the training robots, and after knocking them down and slashing one of them, the system finishes its session. Leo thinks that it's really amazing how gracefully she handles the sword and wonders if she has been trained in the past. She reveals that since her family died, she has always self-taught all the sword techniques. To cheer her up, Leo says that he will teach her how to extract the full potential of the Vampire Queen's magic and use her own mana to enhance her physical abilities. However, he wanted to give her a real challenge and summoned his staff before surrounding them with a magical concealment sphere from the ground. He started to bring up a swarm of skeletons. But Celia was scared because she had never seen skeletons before. Celia started rushing towards them one by one. She started slashing them all and jumping to avoid their attacks. When Leo summoned hundreds again by the time she defeated them all, she groaned because of how tired she was. So Leo returned the skeletons. She bowed to thank him, and Leo offered to replenish her mana. Celia says that she has grown much stronger than before, even though she still wants Leo to train her harder. Then Celia wanted to treat Leo, but Leo refused, even though his stomach started growling. Meanwhile, Fine's orbs were scouting a salt garden, and a team under the island was combing through the area there. On the other hand, Sakuya, the pro gambler who never wins. She saw Blackass sitting alone, and when she got closer, she realized that the wolf didn't have a collar, so she decided to name him Kurogane Mofu Mofu. But when he growled at her, she tied some food to him and said goodbye. Inside the dorm, Regina told Fine to try the food she had made. Fine said it tasted perfect. Then Sakuya, the goddess of gambling, came in. She told them that she had just met a big dog and named him Kurogana. And without hesitation, Sakuya took the food from Regina because she hadn't eaten that day. Her money was all gone from gambling. After that, Regina wondered why Fine was wearing her uniform on her day off. Fine revealed that she was still investigating the incident underwater yesterday. And after eating, the goddess of gambling fell asleep sitting up. In the city, Leo was still amazed to see how well developed their civilization was and how everyone lived in peace. Meanwhile, the idiot Sherry had become a cook to feed Leo the best food, and when his boss asked her to cut potatoes, she told him that she had a sharper knife, but she cut everything along with the plate. Her boss yelled, saying she was so stupid, and she was given the task of cleaning the outside of the store only. And she saw Celia, who was taking Leo around, and when Celia left after getting food for him, Sherry stared with jealousy and wondered why she dared to do that to the Demon King. A few minutes later, they arrived at the restaurant she was referring to. She wanted to show him, but when a group of children came out, Leonis wondered why they came to the orphanage. But Celia told him that they made money by selling food like a restaurant. And when Leo saw how some of them were his age in the old days, he remembered the days when he was starving with almost no money. Seeing the smile around them, he was glad that this world really cared about the children. Then a fat kid asked him if he was friends with Celia, but this ugly Demon King didn't answer. Then they went in, and when Celia unpacked some things, the naughty boy came to open Celia's skirt. But before Leo could give him a lesson, Celia said that he was just an innocent child. So he pulled his shadows away. Then the orphanage caretaker finally came. Her name was Frenia, and Celia told her that he was a swordsman she found in the ruins. And all the children ran and thought he was the coolest person for surviving the void. The orphanage caretaker told the children to give him some peace, and when Celia revealed that she brought donuts, all the children ran and were very happy to eat their favorite food. Meanwhile, Leo looked at them. He realized that this was the place that Celia wanted to protect, but the place he wanted to protect was gone. Under the sea, the new divers wondered where the structure had disappeared. But inside, a man heard a vibration on the wall, and Fine looked at the monitor. She read the vibration, while Sakuya felt it. Two men were talking. They were shocked when they saw giant branches around the facility, ready to devour their worthless butts because of too much sleep. Meanwhile, Leo was enjoying eating donuts with the children of the orphanage. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and see you on the next episode. Love you guys.